right, week 12 of the college football season has come and gone, and we're going to take a look at the college football playoff picture as we are just a few weeks away from the playoff committee having to choose 12 teams to make the CFP. Some notable results this week. Texas A&M, crazy comeback. We're down 30-3 at halftime to South Carolina. Found a way to win 31-30. Oklahoma shakes things up in the SEC. They beat Alabama 23-21. Both those teams now have 2 losses. Georgia pulls away from Texas in the fourth quarter, 35-10. Notre Dame smokes Pitt 37-15, and USC was down 21-7 to Iowa, came all the way back to win 26-21. So what we'll do is kind of put some teams into tiers, break things down on how I see it heading into the final few weeks of the regular season. My name is Harrison Graham. This is For Verts. First of all, thank you guys so much. We hit 14,000 subscribers yesterday, and we're going to continue to pump out daily NFL and college football content. So next up, milestone's 15,000. Appreciate your guys' love and support. It's been awesome as we've grown this thing. This channel's, not even a year and a half old. So let's keep it rolling here. We'll continue to pump out the daily content. All right. I think one thing that is worth just noting here, barring some unforeseen scenario, if you win 10 or more games in the SEC or the Big Ten, you are a lock to make the college football playoff. I think especially this year with the ACC almost certainly just a one-bid league, the Big 12, maybe they get 2 with Texas Tech and BYU, but probably just a one-bid league as well. I think if you go 10-2 or better in the Big Ten or SEC, you are a lock to make the CFP. So with that being said, there's already 5 locks. Ohio State, Indiana, who I think is actually 11-0. I'd have to double check, but either way, they're undefeated. Texas A&M, who's 10-0. Georgia's 9-1. They don't have that 10th win yet, but they play an FCS opponent this week, so I'm already locking them in because they'll win next week. Even if they lose to Georgia Tech in 2 weeks, they're still going to be in at 10-2. And then Ole Miss at 10-1 is going to make the playoff as well. They could lose to Mississippi State and still get in. So to me, 5 of 12 spots are already locked up. The Oregon Ducks are knocking on that door. They are 9-1. They play USC at home, Washington on the road to end the year. If they just split those, they are in the CFP. Now, if they were to lose both, they would be out in all likelihood. So they're 1 win away from joining those teams as well. So you've got 5 locks, then 1 very close in Oregon. And then let's just say Oregon's in. Let's say they split one of their last 2. So 6 of the 12 teams are filled. Well, that really only leaves 3 spots because you still have the Big 12 champion, the ACC champion, and the Group of 5 team. So those are 3 auto bids. Obviously, with the locks we already mentioned, the Big 10 and the SEC would be covered off. So those are already taken care of. But if we're counting Oregon in the CFP, which I think they're going to at least split these last 2, you really only have 3 spots left once you lock in, the Big 12, the ACC, and the Group of 5 automatic bid. Now, let's take a look at the Big 12 here. It's really a 3-team race, but technically Houston, Arizona State, and Cincinnati all have 2 losses or less in conference play. Cincinnati and Arizona State have 3 total losses, but they only have 2 losses in the conference, so they're still mathematically alive. Houston, I think, is fraudulent, but if they went out, get some help, they could be in there. It's a 3-team conference. Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah, who's been coming on strong. It feels like a Texas Tech BYU rematch in the Big 12 championship game, but that is where things sit right now. As far as the ACC goes, 5 teams still alive. Technically, Duke only has 2 losses in conference play, but didn't include them here. Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU, and Miami. Now, the interesting thing about the ACC is I think most people would say Miami at their best is clearly the best team in the conference, but they've lost twice, both in the conference, so their path to the ACC title game isn't that clear. Like, they need some help. So could Mario Cristobal's team get an at-large at 10-2? They have a non-con win over Notre Dame. I know Florida's not very good, but they beat them in the non-conference as well. They beat a good USF team in the non-con. So they've got a funky resume where they're in a bad Power 4 conference in the ACC, but they have 3 good out-of-conference league win. So it'll be interesting to see how they get evaluated if they win their final 2 games but don't get to the ACC title game. Then you get to the Group of 5. I think you're kind of down to 5 teams here for that final automatic berth. North Texas, who jumped into the AP Top 25 today. So did James Madison. We'll see how the playoff committee ranks those two teams, if either are ranked at all. They'll have to designate one of these teams as the G5 team in the bracket, which I'll have my projected bracket coming up in a little bit. Tulane, Navy, East Carolina, 4 of those 5 teams in the American, with James Madison being, I believe, in the Sun Belt is where they're playing now. But that is how things are looking right now. All right, we'll take a look at some other topics when it comes to the college football playoff as things are starting to narrow down here in just a moment. But first, got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app, as you can toggle by sports and player, and then specific stats. As you start to make your lineups, you just pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups. And if you hit, you win money. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. I had a nice little 2-player lineup earlier today. Took more on Caleb Williams' rushing yards. He rushed for 26. Took less on J.J. McCarthy's passing yards, 212.5. I think he threw for like 150 or something like that. $20 lineup to win $60. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Okay, further look at the SEC. If you win out, you're almost certainly in if you're an 8-2, Bama, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. Especially Bama and Oklahoma. They just have strong resumes. But I still think Vandy's probably in too if they win out and get to 10-2. So I think those 3 teams, you can't technically say they control their destiny, but they pretty closely do, especially those top 2 teams right there. In the Big Ten, we mentioned Oregon earlier. They don't even have to win out. They really only have to win one more time to get to 10 wins. USC at Oregon this week. That's a must-win for USC. They're going to have to win that game and then beat UCLA to have a chance to make the playoff. And then Michigan, pretty simple. As clunky as it's been, I can't remember who they play this week, but then they play Ohio State, who they've beaten 4 years in a row. If they can win their final 2, get to 10-2, you're going to leave out a 10-2 Michigan that beats Ohio State? I don't think so. So all 3 of these teams in a good position if they are able to win out. Now, remember what we said earlier. It kind of feels like you're only down to 3 or 4 at-large spots, so there could be a crazy scenario where a 10-win SEC or Big 10 team gets left out, but I think that's very unlikely at this point in time. Now, the projected bracket for this week I have is as follows. I don't expect the top 3 to change. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, 1, 2, 3. Georgia moves up to 4 with Alabama losing. I've got Texas Tech in the 5 seed against North Texas. That'd be a fun game in the Lone Star State there as the 5-12 matchup. Oklahoma, Alabama, ironically, would be a rematch in the 8-9 game after the Sooners just beat the Crimson Tide. That game, of course, would be in Norman this time around. Oregon, Notre Dame would be the 7-10 game. And then Ole Miss, Georgia Tech would be the 6-11 game. Again, North Texas, Georgia Tech, they're in the bracket despite not being top 12 teams because automatic berths. So you have the 4 power conference champions and then the 5th automatic bid as well, which would go to the highest ranked G5 team, which will be either North Texas or James Madison this week after South Florida loss. I've got North Texas. They played a tougher schedule. We'll see if the committee agrees. Some big games coming up. Kind of a light week, but USC at Oregon's a huge game. If USC wins, that kind of creates chaos in the Big Ten with a lot of 2-loss teams in there potentially. So keep an eye on that. BYU at Cincinnati, both those teams still alive in the Big 12 championship race. Cincinnati hanging on by a thread. They lost again last week. Missouri at number 11, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has Mizzou and LSU to finish the year. If they win those 2 games, they're in the CFP. And then Pitt at Georgia Tech, major ACC implications. Pittsburgh has 3 losses, but 2 of them are out of conference. So they're still very much in the mix for the ACC championship game. And if they were to get there and win the ACC championship, they would earn an automatic bid. All right, there you go. A lot of different kind of just where things sit right there right now in some different conferences. But I'll continue to ask you guys. 3 Power 4 teams remain undefeated. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Who do you guys think is the best team in college football? Is it Ohio State, who hasn't really been tested since week 1? Is it Indiana, who for most of this year has been dominant, but the last couple of weeks has looked more human? No Elijah Surratt, so I think they've missed him. And then Texas A&M, who just had one of the more wilder comebacks you'll ever see. Who do you guys think is the best team in college football? Let us know in the comment section below. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to cover things NFL, college football here on 4 Verts. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys soon.